Hey everybody, so the Foo Fighters have a brand new album out called Sonic Highways, and this is probably the Foo Fighters' most ambitious album they've actually tried to make to date. While I love my favorite Foo Fighters album has always been Wasting Light. To me, I thought that was a peak of their creativity, and I feel like this album is their most ambitious, but not necessarily their best album. So basically, the band embarked on an 8-city tour where they wrote a song in each city that they were in while filming their documentary of the same name as the album. And they've also got a bunch of guest appearances from guys like Gary Clark Jr., Joe Walsh of the Eagles, as well as Rich Neilson from Cheap Trick. And while the new way of recording would seem to change the sound of the Foo Fighters, it really doesn't. At its core, this is still a Foo Fighters album, and upon hearing that, you're going to recognize that right away. There's still a lot of stadium rock sound that is really synonymous with the Foo Fighters albums and songs. And I think each song still, I feel like the songs don't really take on too much of a flair of the city that they're recording it in. Like in Nashville, it's got a little bit of a country vibe to it, but if you hadn't told me they went to the city, I'd probably think they recorded all 8 songs in the actual same studio. And there's also some stuff on here that sounds a lot like throwback Foo Fighters, or stuff from that sounds like that could be from There's Nothing Left to Lose and In Your Honor. But I think what makes these songs a little bit more meaningful is that if you're watching the HBO documentary series, that it does give some context to the lyrics in these songs, and where Dave is coming from when he's writing these songs. I think also this album has probably got to be one of the shortest Foo Fighters albums to date. It's only 8 songs. I feel like they could have still explored other cities like Detroit, which would have been interesting to shed a light on the Motown music scene, but maybe that's something to do in the future. But that being said, I think I really enjoyed the album for the most part. I feel like the first half was consistently good, but then the last half of the album, really, that's when things fall apart, and the songs are just not that well written, and they're a little too long, and they're very repetitive. And I'm talking about songs like I'm a River, Subterranean, and In the Clear. I found them really repetitive. The lyrical content wasn't very good, and they just seemed weak overall. But I think overall it's a solid Foo Fighters album, but I'm a little disappointed because it was supposed to be this grand, ambitious project. And at the end of the day, it still sounds like a Foo Fighters album, and personally, I like Wasting Light a lot more. But there are a good number of songs on here. Feast and Famine are great. Congregation is great. And I think the one they just did in Austin, Outside, is another really good song. So I'd probably give this album a 3.5 out of 5. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe.